It's Turkish Airlines long-haul business class today from Ho Chi Minh City to Istanbul. In 2025, Turkish won Best Airline and Business Class in Europe and World's Best Business Class Catering Awards from Skytrax. Sounds impressive. Food is something that they're truly famous for. It's one of the few airlines that has sky chefs on board. But their cabins could be very inconsistent, and comparing themselves with European rather than Asian carriers sets the bar low. It's a bit of a cheating, I would say. So how good Turkish Airlines really is? Well, jumping ahead, this flight did really well for me, and I'm confidently giving Turkish 5-. Let's now explore together this flight, the seat, the food, and the whole experience on this 10-hour-long journey on Airbus A350, and you can make your own mind if you agree with my rating. Today's journey is 8,300 km flight from Vietnam's Ho Chi Minh City, which many still know as Saigon, to Istanbul on board of Airbus A350-900. Turkish Airlines jumped into aviation elite in early 2000s with wide long-haul network and solid business class product. But over 2 decades, they didn't upgrade much cabins, and backbone of their fleet, A330s and Boeing 777s, are clearly showing signs of aging now. Recently, Turkish started to modernize its business class, and today I'm going to try one of those new generation business cabins. Saigon's Nhat airport is big, noisy, chaotic, and massively overcrowded. Here I can give the first points to Turkish. Within all that airport chaos, they managed to have a rather organized check-in. There are 3 dedicated business class desks, nothing too fancy, but the red carpet is a kind of nice touch. More importantly, everything is quick and efficient. I'm lucky to pass immigration in 30 minutes, as this is something that can take ages at Nhat, and on my way to the lounge. There is no Star Alliance lounge here, so Turkish is using La Saigonnais. As for any non-flagship lounge, the expectations are low, but I get a small encouragement boost seeing the same lounge is picked by Emirates and Qatar. I actually have to say it's not bad. Not very big, but well maintained and nicely blending in local design elements, like this collection of Aoyai's signature traditional dresses, which probably is an Instagram hit here. Food stations are a bit too local and a bit too basic, but I love pho bo, the traditional Vietnamese noodle, so this works well for me. All in all, good enough to spend 30 minutes and a step forward from what lounges used to be before in Vietnam. Time to move. Turkish Airlines is known for starting boarding early, usually an hour before the long-haul flights, so I'm moving straight to the gate along the endless line of shops, all selling exactly the same set of souvenirs, dry fruits and coffee. I know by now that my plane today is actually quite special. It's one of 4 A350s which are called Turkoflot. Originally those planes were built for Russian Aeroflot, but after Russia started war in Ukraine, Airbus cancelled the deliveries, and already built planes were happily picked by Turkish Airlines. By now they are all repainted and rebranded, so not much remains about Aeroflot, but their business cabins are different as they have full suites versus usual reverse herringbone seating in standard Turkish A350s. So I'm actually lucky today to truly experience the best version of Turkish A350. Let's start now exploring the cabin. It's indeed a full suite setup with direct aisle access for all seats, looks new and premium, and definitely brings a lot of privacy. You immediately notice this. The separator walls and the privacy doors are quite high, not something nominal that you could see in some other airlines. The seats are not angled, but rather staggered forward-facing seats, which is not a big thing for me, but some people have problems with angled seats, so might be an added benefit. Generally, I find this cabin to actually look a bit like Q-Suite cabins on Qatar, which is not the worst comparison. The space inside the suite seems absolutely adequate, but it does feel a bit more compact compared to Qatar Q-Suite or Cathay Aria Suite on 777s. This also reflects the challenge of A350, that is a bit more narrow than Boeing 777, which is considered to be the best aircraft for most luxurious business cabins. All 3 cabins are done by the same manufacturer, Collins Aerospace, but the product Turkish used, Collins Horizon, is just a notch lower in the Collins lineup than the suites used by Cathay and Qatar. It's pretty much a junior suite. Very nice and much better than classical business cabins on European carriers, but slightly less spacious and less sophisticated as senior suites of Qatar and Cathay. The suite comes with a 21-inch 4K touchscreen which looks impressive, even if a bit smaller than whopping 24-inch Cathay Aria suite screen. But also given a bit smaller space, it's absolutely adequate and the colors look amazing. But there is a curse of all those new cabins, it's the narrow footwell. There is plenty of space when sitting, but when it's in a lie-flat position, your legs feel trapped in that footwell. Everyone is trying to solve this in their own way, but this Turkish suite is not among contenders to win this challenge. There is also an interesting storage compartment right in front of you, which I haven't seen much in other cabins. Looks like a small closet. I don't have much use for it now, but in general the idea is not bad at all. Controls are all digital and right by your hand, simple and straightforward. They look surprisingly tired while the plane is hardly 4 years old. It's almost like there is a legend that you need to rub them during the whole flight for a good luck. The remote for in-flight entertainment system is right next. It's a bigger classical remote with both screen and buttons, which I like much more than new fancy remotes with one button and touchpad. Here you can still quickly see on a remote screen a map without stopping a movie, and it's still faster to navigate with all good buttons. Power sockets are also nearby, but unfortunately only universal and USB Type-A, no Type-C here. And of course there is a typical personal storage compartment with a stylish individual light next to it, but I will explore all that as well as amenities bag, headphones and few other things a little bit later, because the dinner time is coming. Food is the real pride of Turkish business class. For years it is prepared by Do&Co, an Austrian catering company with Turkish roots which is probably the best gourmet caterer in the world. They serve best airlines and events like Formula 1 or UEFA Champions League. Let's check what we got today. Turkish is trying to use signature local ingredients and they give you a sneak peek of them up front, which is a nice teaser. Their signature move is that you can order any dish at any time, so it's like real a la carte restaurant service. For today, the choice of starters is a set of Turkish traditional meze, a smoked salmon or a cauliflower soup. No doubt meze. For the mains we got beef brochette, grilled cod or mascarpone and mushroom ravioli. The ravioli sounds interesting, but I will probably still take the brochette, which I suspect is just a fancy name for a Turkish kebab. There is a big choice of desserts, from chocolate cake and pudding to an ice cream, cheese board and fruit salad, but this is something I can decide later. We will also have a breakfast in the morning before the landing, and you can see that Turkish Airlines takes breakfast seriously. This is not Italian coffee and croissant, here we talk business. Juices, smoothies, yogurt, fruits, cheese and cold cuts, but that's just the beginning. And then two hot options, omelette or a waffle, and still of course some pastries on top. That's a big promise for a big breakfast. There is also a large menu of snacks, from biscuits to fruits to popcorn, that you can ask from a crew at any point of time. Now, what's on the beverage side? It looks like Turkish is trying to promote their own wines. It's interesting, as Turkish wines are not that famous across the world, but this makes it even more intriguing to try. There are two local choices for whites and a Chablis Chartron A350. Actually a very solid Chablis, which goes between 25 to 30 euros in stores. Actually more expensive wine than what Air France is serving in their long-haul business. Then for the reds, it's again two local choices plus Argentinian Malbec, French Medoc and Spanish Rioja. Actually a very nice choice again. There is also a rosé and port to complement the selection, and on the sparkling side, Turkish is serving Tatangier Brut Reserve, which is probably one of the best non-vintage champagne wines and often a preferred choice for house champagne. Liquor selection is not that big, but seeing there a single malt Glenfiddich is definitely good. Many options to choose from, but I definitely want to try Turkish and decide to pair my kebab with the Turkish sirah. Meanwhile, the wet towel and the pre-flight drinks are served. I always go for the champagne to cheer for a good experience and safe flight. The Tatangier is crisp and fresh, but I wish there would be a little more elegant glasses. For years, Turkish Airlines had very cool safety video with Zach King and his visual magic, so I'm expecting something in line with that, but these days the video is very functional and a little boring. There is also a rather long video presenting all the features of the cabin and the service. Ironically, it shows a totally different standard cabin of A350, not the one that I'm flying today. We are starting to taxi, and as any air geek, I'm staring in the window, trying to spot something interesting and unusual. Here is one. It's an ATR turboprop of Vasco, a small subsidiary of Vietnam Airlines flying to small remote airports. I flew it to Con Dao Island in Vietnam, a great retro experience. You can find the full trip report on my channel. We are in the air quite quickly, and despite many things still to explore in the cabin, I take few minutes to enjoy the mesmerizing view of Ho Chi Minh City below us. Despite the sky rises of the downtown, this 10 million city is still all about small 2-3 story houses which go all the way to the horizon and beyond. I'm putting on a pair of slippers, settling comfortably in my seat, and all ready for the meal. It starts with a small plate of mixed nuts, which are nicely warmed, a glass of Syrah and a Coke. My venture with Turkish Syrah is actually quite interesting. It's fruity, balanced and smooth, with soft tannins and a kind of fruity intensiveness. Again, the only complaint is that serving some better glasses would help to elevate the experience. The starter comes with a very elegant presentation, truly in Do&Co style. The centerpiece is a set of 3 meze. Bright, colorful, sophisticated and delicious, the quality you would get in a top restaurant in Istanbul. It's accompanied by salt, pepper and mixed spices, olive oil and a small elegant light, which is a signature element of Turkish business class for the last 20 years. I have to confess, I have few of them at home by now. Then there is a new cool feature, the oldest bread. The small bread bun comes in a nice cloth bag and with a small card with a story of it. That this is the bread from the same grains that 12,000 years ago gave birth to a bread as we know it. Might be true or not, but the story is nice and the way it's presented is definitely interesting. A great starter, and I didn't regret for a second that I chose meze over a ubiquitous smoked salmon. Go for meze without any doubt next time you fly Turkish business. Now it's time for the main course, and I'm introduced to brochette, which I still believe is an old good kebab but somehow camouflaged in French dress with a fancy name and ratatouille as a side dish. I'm not sure why Turkish Airlines went into all that Frenchness. I think it would make a lot of sense to have at least one dish to be purely Turkish. Brochette looks good and solid, but maybe not necessarily best in class. But only till you actually make the first bite. The taste and the texture is amazing, and for sure the best meat I tried on board of any plane. Unlike many meat dishes, even on the best airlines, which are still overcooked and dry, the brochette from Turkish Airlines is perfect. It's tender, juicy, and has that proper shade of pink which tells that it's cooked just right. It's really delicious, and I'm trying to pick every drop of sauce and savor every piece of my brochette turned kebab. Done with the main course, but the meal is still far from being over. I'm actually full, but I don't have willpower to resist desserts. There is a choice of chocolate cake and pudding, but this is too simple, too boring, so I go for signature Turkish baklava with a traditional strong Turkish tea in a tulip-shaped glass. This is definitely a cherry on the top of the delicious meal. Baklava is fresh and juicy and probably has 10,000 calories in it, but I prefer not to think about it at this time. This was an amazing dinner, and Turkish fully lived up to their image of a gourmet restaurant up in the sky. Now it's the time to finish the check of the amenities and whatever else this business cabin offers on our today's flight. Turkish supplied me with a blanket and a pillow, set of slippers and amenity kit, all that already was waiting on the seat once I boarded the plane. Expectedly, there are headphones and a bottle of water in a personal storage compartment. Let's look at all that in more details, and I would start with headphones, which I find to be very important for a long flight, especially if you can't get asleep. Here Turkish delivers really well. They provide a solid pair of Denon headphones, which are not top of the range but still much better than most of private label headphones provided by airlines in business class. It's a bit older model, but noise cancellation works well, sound is good, and they sit nicely on the head. There are a few better ones around, but unless you're very picky, this pair will do a decent job. The amenity kit comes from Lanois, a top-tier French luxury brand, sitting in the same league with Dior and Chanel. It's actually the third oldest fashion house in France. But the content looks a little bit understated. Not exactly on a quiet luxury side, rather on could be better side. There are standard socks and eye mask, nothing to talk about, very basic toothbrush and toothpaste, and two small tubes of Lanois hand cream and eye balm. Both are good, but overall you're not going to get goosebumps from this kit, nor it's in any way connected to Turkey. Still before the dinner, the crew went around the cabin offering to set a mini mattress on the seat, which was actually making a lot of difference when sleeping later. There are then two blankets, a thinner cotton plate, which was nice to touch and quite big, a perfect thing to wrap yourself while sitting, eating or watching TV, as the cabin air was quite fresh during the whole flight, and a proper thicker blanket, which was for a night's sleep in a lie-flat position. And finally a pair of slippers. They didn't look very fancy, but actually had some kind of cozy home feel, while you could use the bag they came with to put your shoes in. Done with the food and all the checks, it's time to close the door and get to bed. Once the door is closed, the seat fully turns into a small cozy pad. It's not as big as Cathay's Aria or Qatar's Suite, but it still gives you a great privacy for a calm night's sleep. I'm moving the seat into the lie-flat position. It's almost 2 meters long, so decently comfortable, but a bit less wide than I would expect. Still, with a mini mattress it makes a very comfortable bed. The only real problem is that narrow footwell where your legs feel trapped. Next morning starts with the smell of coffee and the review of coffee menu, which is another thing that highlights Turkish food and beverage strengths. From a traditional Turkish coffee to all possible espresso-based drinks and iced lattes, the menu gives you a feeling that you're in a coffee shop rather than on board of a plane. I still feel a bit full after the dinner, so decide to go for the lighter breakfast and skip the omelette. But the lighter breakfast is still actually a full breakfast. Yogurt, fruits, pastry, cheeses, chicken breast, accompanied with freshly squeezed orange juice, a cup of tea in the same cool tulip glass, and a very respectable cup of cappuccino. If one would add here an omelette or a waffle, it would be a proper brunch if not a dinner. Probably worried that I skipped the omelette, the flight attendant brings me a couple of pralines, I guess to ensure that no passenger can claim that he left the Turkish Airlines plane hungry. A great restaurant quality breakfast, and Turkish confirms again with flying colors that it's indeed best in the world for business class catering. Time to conclude. I mentioned earlier that Turkish had their ups and downs. They became almost a sensation in early 2000s with their great service, new planes and a wide network, but then they didn't update their business cabins for years and became quite outdated. A lot of people still kept their loyalty, but it was shaken. For the last years, Turkish was trying to upgrade the fleet and bring a new hard business product on top of their consistently best-in-class service. And I have to say they did a good job, and I really enjoyed my flight. A nice suite with a privacy door, comfortable seat, amazing food and a very attentive service. Overall, really enjoyable experience, which is just a small step short of Qatar and Cathay new products, which I consider still to be the best today. A little bit less space, a little less luxurious materials, slightly more simplistic amenities, but one should not be confused with all those slightly less, as I compare Turkish with something which is truly best in class. And even if they are a step behind, they are way above any European airlines I tried in the last years. The only caveat is that this plane is not truly representative, as there are only 4 A350s with these suites, while the rest have seats which are supposedly a bit more simple. Solid 5- to Turkish for this flight, and now I am extremely curious to test Turkish mainstream business product. I'm confident about their service, But I would like to see if their regular cabins still give the same experience as this Turkoflot plane. I have my next flight with Turkish Airlines already booked, so stay tuned.